In a distant future, climate change has devastated Earth, leaving few habitable places. In this time, a society emerged, rigorously controlling all aspects of life, including reproduction. A girl swims alone in rough waters. It seems like the sea is almost swallowing her whole, but she stubbornly resurfaces and looks far away where a woman stands on the shore. But her mother's shadow soon disappears, along with the memories of grown-up Mia. Adult Mia lives near the sea and goes swimming every day. When she swims far from the coast, she always remembers her mother, who would stay on the shore asking her daughter to come back. This day begins like any other. Mia swims and then returns to the isolated house full of technology under a protective dome, where she lives with her husband Arian. Every day, the house tells her about the environment and says how many and which medicines she should take for her body to function well. But most importantly, not to forget the medicine that keeps her young, which is given to everyone living under the dome. After following all the advice, the woman goes to the basement, where her husband has set up his workspace, which looks like a cave. There, he creates virtual animals to replace real animals, which were killed decades ago. Mia talks about making dinner with new algae she planted, something her husband really likes. She goes to her greenhouse, which takes up almost all her time. First, Mia says hello to an orchid that looks sick, and after feeding it, starts working and picks the algae. At night, they have dinner and go to bed together, but Mia can't sleep, thinking about whether they're good enough for the mission ahead. Arian says good words to her, saying he loves her and that means everything will be fine. Soon they have intimacy to relax. At dawn, Mia wakes up from a nightmare she's had since childhood and goes to the greenhouse to water the orchid, which calms her. The next day, a woman arrives at their house. Virginia is an evaluator sent by the government to see if the couple can raise a child. She tells them they are among the 0.1% of the best couples in the country, which means they have a chance to become parents. But no one can have children without government permission, and it's also forbidden to have children the traditional way. If they are approved, material will be collected and through gestation, via laboratory, they will have a child. So only after the evaluation will they know if they can be parents or not. Hey, what would you do if you were trapped in a society inside a giant bubble, where if you left you'd die in a short time, and if you stayed you couldn't have children? The movie I'm going to summarize is called The Assessment. It's a film that mixes drama and science fiction. It's quite interesting with an apocalyptic vibe. So if you like this style, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell and leave a like to receive the best recaps. For the next 7 days, while the woman will live in their house, Virginia will conduct various tests and see how they act. If the decision is good, their data will be sent to the center where they make babies grow outside the mother's body. Since having babies the normal way is no longer allowed, if this happens, they'll turn into sardines. If they don't pass, the candidates will know immediately. They can also quit the evaluation whenever they want. But if they do, they won't be able to ask to have a child ever again. The final decision will be the evaluators alone. Before letting them settle in, Virginia reminds them that everything that happens in their house must remain secret. Mia tries to find out what specific things will be evaluated, but Virginia doesn't want to tell. Even with answers lacking much information, Mia and Arian think they would be very good parents. Right on the first day, Virginia starts conducting tests, wanting to know everything about the couple's relationship, even intimate things, like whether Mia reaches climax during intimacy, which positions, etc., explaining that it's part of her job. The couple is forced to answer all questions, even those that embarrass them. Mia tells that her mother was sent to the old world when she and her sister were children, so she only has few memories. Her mother was against the government, but Mia herself has no problems with the state. The couple says they see themselves as professional and balanced people who want to help create a new future by raising a child. Virginia thinks their answers seem rehearsed. That's when Mia says she's ready to do anything to make sure her child has something she didn't have, a sense of belonging. Content with the answers, Virginia goes to the room they gave her and notices the springs making noise in the mattress, even though Mia says there aren't any. Arian offers his room instead. Mia reluctantly agrees, and Virginia accepts. She then visits the man's workshop. He calls it his thinking cave and is now working on the skin of a virtual cat. Virginia is very impressed with the virtual room and the animal, which looks just like a real one. The next place the evaluator looks at is Mia's workspace. Mia explains that the intelligent system allows various types of climate to exist together, which helps many types of plants live. The greenhouse alone has more than 1,000 types of plants and algae. Virginia sees the orchid and Mia asks her to be careful with it. It's the only thing she has from her mother. The evaluator wants to see all places in the house and Mia has to let her. The next step is a complete medical examination of the couple. Mia is surprised as they already had these exams, but they can't say no. Virginia investigates every detail of their lives. During dinner, Virginia gets curious about the mark on Arian's face. So he explains that the marks came from an accident during the animal killings. Some people who fought for animals blamed him for the slaughter because he had been put in charge of creating virtual animals. The animal killing was part of a program to prevent diseases. The state didn't understand the emotional value of companionship when it ended real pets. People who protested blew up a university laboratory. He jumped from a third-floor window, broke his shoulder, collarbone, 3 spine bones, and got burn marks. The culprits were sent to the old world. Mia says they got what they deserved. Virginia interrogates her, asking if Mia's mother also got what she deserved. The atmosphere gets heavy and the couple goes to the bedroom. That night, they both think about the day. Mia talks about Virginia's provocation, but Arian calms her. The conversation gradually becomes intimate, only to be interrupted by Virginia, who explains that she needs to evaluate all sides of their relationship. The couple has no choice but to accept her in the room and ends up finishing the act. On the second day, the next morning, Virginia starts acting like a small child. The couple is confused at first, and Mia even speaks louder, but when Virginia calls her attention, she calms down. Still unable to stand the strange behavior, Mia ends up shouting. Arian, feeling guilty, starts feeding the misbehaving child by mouth. Virginia laughs and suddenly throws porridge at Mia, then in Arian's eye. The man swears and Virginia immediately repeats his words. While Mia washes her husband's eye, Virginia is alone in the kitchen. But when the couple returns, they stop scared. Everything is turned upside down, plates thrown everywhere, and the girl is nowhere to be found. They run to find her and finally find her in Arian's cave, where Virginia is dancing uncontrollably, making the man angry. He shouts, demanding she stop this behavior. Virginia then says, the test is over. She says she's an adult again now and is ready to talk about what happened, but at that moment a package arrives. Inside are parts of a children's tent that they need to assemble by morning and are required to use all the pieces. The couple starts working. At first, it's quite difficult, but when dawn comes, the tent is all assembled, except for one piece left over at the end, which Mia secretly throws into the sea. On the third day in the morning, Virginia looks at the tent and enters it. Strangely, she finds no problems and approves the parents' work. Later, Arian goes down to the basement to continue making a monkey. Virginia goes with him and starts telling about her poodle mixed with cocker that she had as a child. When it came time to kill the dog, she was afraid he would have to die with a stranger, so she got sleeping medicine and did it herself. Afterwards, she cried for a long time. Arian offers her to touch the animal, and she does so eagerly, finding it incredible how its fur seems real. Then she asks to play. When Mia enters, she sees the two fighting and laughing on the carpet. Her husband explains they were playing tigers. Mia has to pretend this is normal. On the fourth day, everyone goes to the seashore together, where Virginia starts playing hide and seek. The couple joins the game, but Virginia only looks for Arian, and he only looks for Virginia, making Mia jealous. The couple ends up arguing, and Arian said he was just going along with Virginia's game, and not to let her get into Mia's head. During the argument, they realize Virginia has disappeared. The couple desperately searches for her, and Mia finally finds her in the waves. She pulls Virginia to shore, saying she was terrified, but Virginia just says she was a starfish and doesn't need her help and walks away. Mia shouts that next time, she'll let her drown like a starfish. The couple is confused, not knowing how to act, and Mia, desperate, shouts that she wants a real child. Arian continues pretending and carries Virginia back home on his back. It starts raining, and his back starts hurting. Mia offers to carry the daughter the rest of the way, but Virginia doesn't want to, saying she only wants her daddy. Finally, they enter the house while Virginia stays outside, shivering in the rain. Mia finally manages to convince her to come inside and prepares a hot bath. She bathes the girl and talks to her about her mother. Suddenly, the doorbell rings. Virginia organized a dinner, inviting relatives, neighbors, and colleagues, including Mia's ex-boyfriend, to see how the couple acts with other people. The couple rushes to prepare for the guests. Arian's colleague arrives with her husband and teenage daughter. The rest are older people who haven't seen children in a long time. Virginia scares them by jumping out of the tent. Nobody expected an adult woman to behave like a spoiled child. During dinner, she bothers the guests, takes food from their plates, and causes a lot of confusion. Surprisingly, Arian's mother arrives, clearly not liking the invitation, saying that when the government makes an invitation, they are forced to accept. Virginia's strange behavior continues shocking the teenage girl, who can't understand how old Virginia really is. The adults start talking about work. One of the guests talks about secret reports saying there's life in the Forbidden Lands and even natural births of babies, like in old times. Children there live short and bad lives, while here the population is well controlled. The guests make a toast to the future parents, and Arian's mother accidentally reveals that he and one of the guests had already asked to be parents before. This is a shock to Mia. The conversation shifts to the new world and those who were expelled to it. They say Mia's mother was expelled for lies and false information. One of the women ends up remembering life before the border. She is 153 years old. She continues saying that at first, how wonderful it is to have real summers again. But summer never ended. Unbearable heat, endless storms, no harvest, no shelter, nothing useful. Hunger, disease, the end of many animal species. People killed each other for crumbs, and in the end, destroyed themselves out of greed and not caring. One day, those who survived found a solution, a new world, but there wasn't room for everyone. They had to make difficult choices to survive. So, even though people can now plant food in greenhouses and have children, they didn't defeat nature, they just borrowed, and soon nature will want it back. At the end of this speech, Virginia, who climbed onto this guest's lap, pees on her. Confusion begins when the guest accuses Mia of coming from a family of bad mothers due to Virginia's behavior. Mia punches the guest. The dinner ends abruptly. Mia puts Virginia to bed and goes to her husband, who tells what happened. He hid his previous request to have children with another woman, afraid of losing her. The couple makes up, but the events only increase the tension between them. That night, Virginia comes to their bed, saying she's afraid of a nightmare. Mia lets her sleep in the middle. On the 5th day, Arian goes to work, while Virginia goes to Mia's greenhouse to ask what she thinks of everything that's happening. Mia assures that both are handling the test very well. Later, Mia suddenly receives a call. Her sister is sick and in the hospital. According to the rules, if any of those being tested leaves, the evaluation must stop. But Virginia gives her special permission to leave, as long as she returns by 6 o'clock. That night, Virginia gets into bed with Arian, and even though he doesn't want to, forces him to have intimacy, saying it's part of the evaluation. She promises him that Mia will never find out, and praises him a lot, both as a man and as a scientist. When Mia returns home very early, she gets into bed between her husband and her daughter. In the morning, on the 6th day, she says the hospital call was a mistake, just a name confusion. Virginia continues acting like a child, although it becomes clear that Arian is finding it increasingly difficult to stay calm. Mia feels something happened and asks her husband to take care of Virginia while she goes swimming. The woman goes to the sea, while Virginia asks Arian to play with her, but he's busy working and tells her to play outside alone. Virginia leaves and tries to reach Mia, but seeing she can't, she goes to the greenhouse. While Arian works on the monkey, Virginia begins to completely destroy the greenhouse, ruining everything Mia loves. She breaks the equipment, sits on the floor and sings a song about a beautiful fly that flew into nothingness, just like her beautiful baby. A fire starts in the greenhouse, but Virginia doesn't run to escape. Instead, she lies on the floor. Returning from the sea, Mia sees smoke rising and runs to the greenhouse, shouting her husband's name. At that moment, Arian is happy looking at the result of his work. The monkey seems completely real to the touch. His experiment worked. The smart house warns him of a problem in the greenhouse, and he also goes there, But unlike Mia, he's not in a hurry to save Virginia, perhaps because of fire trauma or because of what happened. Mia breaks down the door, finds the woman inside, and pulls her out. Arian makes her breathe again, while the greenhouse burns to the end. Later, Arian tries to make Virginia eat, but she leaves the table. He argues with Mia for not thinking about her own safety, but she reminds him that Virginia could have died. Mia finds Virginia and confesses that the greenhouse was her greatest achievement. Years of work were put into it. Virginia doesn't understand what she did. The last day of evaluation arrives. Virginia announces that they prove to be serious and responsible candidates with a high level of skill, but their request was denied. Shock takes over the room. In a moment of anger, Arian admits he did whatever it took to get what he wanted. Realizing her husband had intimacy with Virginia, Mia starts laughing nervously, accusing her husband of having intimacy with a child. Virginia leaves. Mia goes to what's left of her greenhouse. She rummages through the ashes and suddenly finds the tent part she once threw into the sea and realizes Virginia knew from the beginning that they had tried to deceive her. She breaks the cursed tent, ignoring her husband's attempts to comfort her. Then he takes her to his cave and shows her the child he created. Mia holds the baby, and for a moment she seems perfectly happy, but then she suddenly drops the child, saying the baby doesn't smell like anything, that it's not real, and leaves. Arian is confused. He did everything he could. He was told that not having children is the price people pay to drink clean water, to live, to breathe. His wife explains that she wants to understand why they were really rejected. Was it because of the toy piece? Because Arian slept with Virginia? Mia goes to the city and looks for Virginia, whose real name is Grace. She wants only one thing, an explanation of why she and Arian couldn't have a child. Grace tries to scare her, saying she's committing a crime by following her, but Mia doesn't give up. She reminds that she saved Grace's life, and now she owes her the truth. Mia realizes Grace is afraid of something and presses more. The evaluator admits she followed the rules. They failed, just like all the others. Realizing she said too much, Grace goes quiet, but Mia understands. Every couple that asks to have a baby is rejected. Grace is forced to confess. In the last 6 years, no request was approved, but ending the program would destroy the government's morale. That's why evaluators must do everything possible to help couples accept rejection. Most of them get tired and leave the profession, but Grace stayed, clinging to the reward they promised her, a chance to have a child of her own after losing her 8-year-old daughter. Grace cries. Mia can't even imagine what it's like to lose a child. Grace confesses her daughter drowned. Hearing this, Mia remembers the guest's words about the old world where people still live, but Grace doesn't want to go. She's too old now and without the youth medicine. Wouldn't live long. Sometime later, Grace Virginia has to evaluate another couple. She goes to their house where, like so many others, they say they're ready to be the best parents. They show her the room prepared for her to stay. The woman of the house leaves for a while, but when she returns, the evaluator is nowhere to be found. She goes to the balcony and sees Virginia's lifeless body on the ground below. Meanwhile, Arian is taking care of a little girl in his cave, and Mia is going through border control to the old world. She hands over her rejuvenation medicine and moves forward. Arian runs along the coast with the girl, now older. When they return home, a computer version of Mia waves to them from the balcony. The real Mia approaches the last room before entering the old world. People wear protective clothing and walk into the unknown. Mia enters the light and takes off her mask. Strong wind blows through her hair, and even though it's clear that not everything is well in the old world, the woman smiles through tears, finally feeling free, and so the movie ends. What grade would you give this movie? And tell me in the comments, which world would you stay in? The old world or the new world? Don't forget to hit the bell to be notified of new recaps, so until next time,